Greetings, programs. Welcome to Hydaelyn's Heroes, a Final Fantasy XIV podcast where whether you're a warrior of light or a warrior of darkness, all are welcome on this star we call home. It's been 3 weeks. It's been a little while since we've graced you folks with our presence, or you guys come to see us, grace us with your presence. And there's not a lot to talk about this week, but we'll dive into a couple cool topics. Before we get into that, I want to introduce my ever-present co-host. He is the Doc Ock to my Spider-Man. He is the new quad father, the one and only Mr. Piers Harvey. How you doing, sir?
The quad father? All right, I might have to steal that for my search comment. So, yeah. But anyway, no, I'm doing good, man. Doing pretty good. Yeah, not a whole lot to talk about this week, but we have a few interesting topics we can discuss, and I think we'll have some fun today. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. God, it's been one heck of a week. I had a little vacation in Utah. My kids got to see their aunts, uncles, cousins for the first time. God, there was like 15 kids all at once and at that birthday party. It was madness. It was madness. And of course, with that many kids, I came home with a little bit of the sniffles and stuff. So that's just awesome. So I've been dealing with that. But also here on Tarkoth Gaming, we did become affiliated on Twitch, so that was awesome. Got emotes and channel badges and all that fun stuff. And in 14, we have less than 300 levels to Omni 90, so that's another hype moment for me. So it's been really good, dude. How about you?
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll discuss what I've been up to in the past week for the first topic. But other than that, I mean, in personal news, I burned my hand pretty badly on Monday at my job.
Oh, ouch.
So I had to deal with that. Luckily, I was still able to play and not injure my hand too much. But yeah, it's been a bit of a pain. But overall, other than that, just same old stuff. Just having fun, chilling. That kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Chilling like the Doc Ock villain you are.
Exactly. I don't mind being Dr. Octopus. He's cool. Otto Octavius. He's smart. Smart dude.
He is smart, dude.
Yeah,
All right. We're going to get to our main topics. Again, we've developed our own main topics, but the way we really want to get these topics is from you folks. And the way you do that is you drop an email down to tarkothgaming@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, and your comment or question can be part of the show as one of our main story quests. So with that done, let's move on to main quest number 1. And main quest number 1 is: a little birdie has sang that Piers has completed Dragon Song's reprise. Congratulations, sir. Now that one of you has completed it, what is your ultimates tier list, and what is one good part and one bad part from each ultimate? Well, I'm gonna let you start, because you're the one that finished it. So let's break down your tier list. Like, rank them 1 to 4. Where do you put them?
Man, I don't know. Let's see. Thank you, by the way, for the congratulations. It was a long and drawn out process, but I'm happy that we finally were able to get it done.
Yeah. Well, one thing, you started at 3 nights a week, right? When this whole thing started, and then you bumped up to 6 or 7 to make sure you got it done before the patch.
We went up to 6. Yes. It was taking longer than we expected. The group, when we first formed, it was a brand new group. So when we first formed, we agreed on around a 2-month clear. But given how difficult this particular ultimate was, we obviously blew past that expectation, and we started moving more towards a 3-month clear. So because of that, we decided we were going to add some more hours on to try to get it done with a relatively decent amount of time before 6.2, just so we can get the totems that we want and we can leave the fight satisfied. So I feel like we did at least achieve our goal on the clear time. And I think we're going to get a decent amount of totems. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah.
Nice. So what's your number 4? Let's start with the bottom and work our way up. What's your number 4? You give your number 4 and I'll give my number 4. Me being, of course, someone that hasn't completed it.
It's such a tough call. I think number 4 has to be Uwu, and the only reason that it's Uwu is because there's not a lot of crazy bombastic things that happen in Uwu. It's a very by the books fight. You know, once you understand the mechanic of waking the primals and doing all that, and the intermission can be kind of long where you have to do all the LBs in a row. And there's no music in that fight that really like gets me hype.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. I really do enjoy Uwu as a fight. It's just, I guess if I had to rank them, it would be my number 4.
All right. For my number 4, only because I've never actually even entered it, it's going to be the Epic of Alexander. Yeah, I just never fought it, so I have no opinion of it, so I can't rank it higher than something I've actually done, right?
Yeah.
So that'll be my number 4. And Jedi Pokey in the chat. Hello, sir. How are you today? All right. Number 3, Piers. What's your number 3?
Number 3 is the tough one. I think I'm gonna have to probably give it to the Epic of Alexander. And it's a tough one because, yeah, I know I really do enjoy T quite a bit. I think that the first phase can drag on a lot. I think having to go all the way back to Living Liquid every time you wipe is annoying, and there's nothing really crazy about that phase that I enjoy having to do over and over again. I think the second phase, which is Brute Justice and Cruise Chaser, I think that is a very fun phase with really great music. I think it flows really well. I think that Alexander Prime can tend to be a little long-winded. I think Inception, which is the first trio in that phase, is a little boring. Wormhole is obviously like the big mechanic in the whole fight, and that can be exciting to do. And then Perfect Alexander actually is a really fun ending sequence. I think out of all of them, it probably has my favorite ending, like victory lap, if you will. But yeah, I just have 2 that are ahead of them in fun for me. So yeah, Epic is Alexander, number 3. How about you?
Number 3 will be Uwu. And I haven't finished DSR, but I already know that I like it more than Ultima. Ultima just didn't have any moments where you're like, wow, this is like really an intriguing part of the fight. I guess the only real intriguing part is the limit break bonanza. But that's just, did you do the mechanics right in the previous 3 phases? I enjoyed the fight. I liked that it was my first ultimate that I got done. It really opened my eyes to what ultimates are. So that was a good experience. And prepared me for doing, the other 2 ultimates that I have worked on. Yeah, so that's going to be my number 3, just because, yeah, there was nothing that really gripped me as far as that this is an amazing aspect of this fight. All right, what's number 2 for you, Piers?
Number 2 is DSR, it's Dragon Song's Reprise. I think this fight, hot take, I think the fight is a little overtuned. I think it is a little bit more difficult than people were expecting it to be. I think that it requires a lot of personal responsibility, more so than other ultimates. Every ultimate does require personal responsibility.
Sure.
Some phases and other, in fights more than others, like in BJCC, in T, it requires a lot of personal responsibility. But in this one, it is a lot of personal responsibility. There's almost no mechanic that you can get by just kind of following somebody or just going with the flow. You have to know what you're doing at all times, and you have to know like every single variation of every mechanic to be able to execute it correctly. And it's just one of those things that really puts a lot of pressure on each individual person. There is a lot of fun in that. There's a lot of satisfaction in that when you finally get everything down and everything looks like that glorious synchronized dance that you want it to look like. But man, hogging it can be really painful sometimes because everybody learns at different speeds, and everybody gets consistent at different speeds. And when you feel like you know a mechanic and you see other people struggling with it and there's really nothing you can do for them but let them get those reps in, it's frustrating at times. But the music is fantastic. I mean, every single Heaven's Word theme that you would think is an iconic Heaven's Word theme is somewhere in that fight. I think it's super thematic. I think that the whole theme of you living out an alternate timeline is really interesting. And overall, I think the victory lap phase is interesting. And I just, and a lot of it is probably biased that I just completed it, but I do think it stands on where it stands. The only problem I have with it is I think it's a little overtuned. But yeah, DSR is my number 2. How about you?
I'm going to go with UCOB, Ultimate unending coil of Bahamut. Doing that with you and Winnie, Mimi, Ultima, and the rest of the people that were with us, it was where Uwu was, one level and got my feet wet with ultimates. Ukab showed me that this is where ultimates could be, and the amount of dedication and the amount of prep you need to have. Really looking back at what you did or did not do, really honed in on, this is another level. I really enjoyed that one. And I'm glad we got so many kills when we did. I wish I had done it on content, but getting it done is still, an achievement in itself. So, I love the dance with Nail. I love Golden Bahamut phase. While it's still, a victory lap, as you say, if you make a mistake, you can wipe the raid and everyone's back to Twintania and everyone's just like, oh my God, please, we had it. So yeah, I love Ukab as my number 2. So I guess number 1 for you would be Ukab, right?
Yeah, I guess it's weird for me to say that because, I do have positive things to say about every ultimate. I do have negative things to say about every ultimate. But maybe it's the fact that it was my first, those rose tinted glasses. But there's just something about Ukab that kind of transcends all the other fights for me. Twintani is a boring phase. It's a lot like Living Liquid and T, where like you just don't. When you get sent back there, you don't feel like doing it. But it's one of those phases where you can kind of turn your brain off for a while.
Yeah.
So like when you go back there, you don't feel as bad because you're just like, another Twintania pull. We're not going to wipe, like it's hard to wipe in Twintania. We're going to get back there. So it doesn't feel as bad. Where like Living Liquid, you kind of have to use your brain a little bit. So I guess I kind of do like Twintania a little bit more, though. I think that the theme Thunderer is boring. It's boring. Yeah. But I feel you with Nail. I think Nail is probably the best feeling phase out of like any ultimate to do. And it's weird. A lot of second phases have that feel because BJCC for me is also like a really good feeling phase, and so is it's the Nidstinian or whatever in Dragon Song, right?
Kyle.
Like they all feel really good to do. It's like this really synchronized dance. I don't know. Square Enix has got this like second phase nailed in no pun intended, because nail. And they just got it nailed down. Besides Ifrit, I guess, and Uwu, but Ifrit is whatever. It feels really good to do Nail. I think learning the call outs and doing that dance and the fire tether is all really cool and exciting. And I think Bahamut Prime can be a little boring because there's so many downtime. It's literally just uptime, and then it's a trio, then it's uptime trio, and it's like a long extended thing of that. But I think the trios themselves are interesting and fun to do. I think that the DPS check is lenient enough in that phase where you can get by with a few mistakes and still get it, even when it was on content.
Oh yeah.
Even when it was on content, you could still have some screw ups in pretty much any phase in that fight and still eke by a win. And I do like that level of leniency, though I know a lot of people don't like that because it is supposed to be an ultimate. But for me, I like being able to at least raise people and let them, experience the next mechanic.
Sure.
Instead of having to, one person screw up and having to go all the way back. So for me, that's great. I think the ads phase is super exciting and super intense. I think that's probably the most intense part of the whole fight because it's, it's a lot of mechanics. Yeah, it's a lot of mechanics going on at once, and you got to nail it because you're right there, like right near the end, and it's like the real last mechanical check of the fight.
Sure.
And then Golden's just like super adrenaline, man. The theme is blaring in your ear. It's that super like upbeat, crazy theme. You got Golden Bahamut slamming down these crazy damaging raid wides that you have to mitigate properly, and Exaflares are a one-shot kill, and you got to make sure you dodge them, even though it's not that hard. It's super duper hard when you're sweaty and you're shaking.
Yeah, after 15 minutes, you're 14, 15 minutes, and then you're like, okay, just gotta do these exoflares properly. I'm in the wrong spot, damn it!
Yeah, exactly. And overall, just putting it all together, I think the fight is really well done. It has gotten easier as time has gone by. I don't think it's gotten hit as hard as Uwu. Uwu has gotten a lot easier since has gone by, but there's still enough challenge in Ukab where you still feel satisfied when you clear it every time. And I think they nailed it with Ukab, but this is comparing things in my mind that are very close to each other. Like, I don't think any fight goes below like an 8 or like an 8
Sure.
8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're all really solid.
Yeah,
fights.
they're all high quality. We're ranking them, but it's not like any of them are F tier. Like, they're all B tier or above.
Yeah, like, and Uwu is a great fight for your first ultimate. It introduces you into the level of difficulty you should be expecting, and for that, I think it's leaps and bounds over the other ones because it's like the accessible ultimate, and I like it for that. And so yeah, don't feel like any lesser if you want to go do Uwu. It's a great fight. It's fun. The weapons are awesome, and you'll have a really good time if you decide to do that one. So yeah. That's where I'm at.
All right. Well, my number one, I guess, is going to be DSR, and I haven't even finished it. For all the things that you said, the music, I mean, it's some of the choicest pieces from Heaven's Ward. Iconic characters. I mean, who didn't want Thornton to come back and face him again? His Extreme was one of the best. Nidhogg, I loved Nidhogg's fight. So having him back was, thank you. I'll have more. Where you don't necessarily like the fact that there's a lot of single person accountability issues. I actually appreciate that. I think it brings that challenge up. I don't think they can go above this in difficulty. At that point, you're like, okay, well, we need like 2 months or two patch cycles to really get this down. So I appreciate the difficulty that it's at. I like a difficult part, but not impossible. So I appreciate this. I like that it's telling its own story. The rewind, yes, you're going through the first couple phases and it's a retread of the story, but the fact that it's a rewind and it's got its own story is absolutely unique in this regard, where everything else is basically just a retelling. This is its own little story where it's like, well, what could have happened? So I hope they do something like this again in the future. It's just, you're right. They got the phase 2s down to just a wonderful dance. It is frustrating when you're like the first person to know it and you're trying to give hints and tips and stuff. But once it's down, it's like, yeah, that feels real good. Yeah. Thornton is not Twintanya.
No.
And is not Garuda or Ifrit. It's another level of frustration when you have to go back to it, because you can still wipe in Thornton. Sanctity still has its challenges, especially if you get a curse pattern in the Fire and Ice Tower. So it's my number one for those reasons, and I love it. It's good, and I can't wait to actually. By the way, I need to find a group. So if anybody needs a sage, that would love to do.
Yeah,
I'm flexible in my hours Monday through Friday. Anyways, so we got our tier list down. Let's go one by one and one of the highlights and one of the lowlights from each fight. And let's start with Uwu. What is your what is the highlight and the lowlight for you from Uwu?
I think the highlight would have to probably be, man, it's a tough call. Probably Titan Phase. I think Titan Phase probably feels the best. I know nowadays people are using illicit tools to make Titan a lot easier by using auto markers, which is fine. If that makes it easier for you, it's whatever. I don't think Titan jails are that difficult as is, but if you really need the tools, they're there. But I do like nailing down Titan jails. I think that's really good once you finally like get a feeling for it. I think that the phase flows really well. I like dodging all the landslides and stuff like that. And the intermission is boring, but I will say that it's really cool to do it. It's just not so cool when you're doing it for like the 100th time.
Sure.
So that would be like a secondary highlight for me. What about what's your highlight in Uwu? What do you like about it?
Titan Jails is up there,
Mhm.
but for me, getting suppression down, knowing that you're going, what is it, Annihilation is the last one?
It goes predation, annihilation, suppression. So suppression
Okay,
is the last one.
suppression. So once you get suppression down and you're like, okay, that's the last trio, I guess you could call it. Um, that's the one part that I think is fun, but it's so late in the fight
Yeah.
that once you get it down, you're pretty much at the end, and you just gotta do a couple more mechanics until enrage. If something like that was earlier in the fight, like Ifrit or Titan, maybe it would be higher on my list, but you just see it so infrequently. That's hard to give it a thumbs up there. I'm not a big fan of the Titan Jails. It's nice when you finally get it down, but it's something that I feel it doesn't need third-party tools, and it doesn't need voice comms, but voice comms really do help when you can just be like, I got 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. And you go to your spots.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my highlights and lowlights for that.
Yeah.
Since I haven't done Alexander, tell me about Alexander. What's your highlights and lowlights for Alexander?
Sure. So highlight is definitely BJCC. I think that the phase flows really, really well. I like the passing of the Nisi. I like the stacking of the water. I like passing lightning. I like how everybody has to know each other's pathing, because in that phase, everybody. So 4 people have Nissis. There's 4 people with Nissi at any given time. Usually, it's like it's either utility or it's DPS, and so depending on who gets it first will determine who's passing it at certain times. There's not a huge difference depending on who gets it first, but there's a little bit. And if anybody accidentally touches each other in that phase, it's a complete wipe. There's almost no way to recover if anybody touches each other with Nissi. So everybody has to know each other's pathing. It's really, really fun to learn your own pathing, to know when you can move and when it's safe to move. I think that the music is fantastic. I think that the DPS check is not too difficult, but it is hard enough to where you have to still be damaging the bosses while doing this intricate dance and making sure you're not touching anybody else. The end of the phase is kind of boring because Nissi goes away and it's basically just you beaten down 2 bosses, which is fine. But overall, I think that phase is fantastic. And I think Perfect Alexander itself as a phase is really fun as well. So that'd be my secondary highlight of the fight. Low light for T absolutely has to be Living Liquid. You get sick of that theme Locust after a while. I remember I just did a mental roulette not too long ago, or was it a normal mode roulette? Whichever it was, I got an Alexander fight. I think it was the Fist of the Sun. And when we got to the final boss, somebody in the alliance or in the party was like, "Man, this theme is bopping," and I was like, "Not when you've done T for like 150 hours. It's not bopping. You just don't want to hear this ever again." So,
good times.
So yeah, that for me is where I stand on T. Really, really fun fight. Just Living Liquid can be a bit of a slog after a while. Trust me on that.
All right, dude. Well, let's move on to Ukab. And I guess I'll start since you did Alexander. Ukab, highlight is Nail. The dance with fire and ice, doom puddles, lightning, ins and outs. It's a well choreographed piece. You call it a set piece. It's really pretty awesome. There's some RNG elements to it, but everyone's gonna have everyone needs to know what to do with each part, because everyone's going to get these parts probably at least once. So to get that down and see the flowing, it's like, all right, in, out, fire out, lightning, go away. All of that I feel is pretty well done. Low light for me, it's kind of a tie between Twin Tanya and Heaven's Fall. I just think the timing on Heaven's Fall is a little bit tight. If they gave like another 2 seconds, you could have a lot more consistency with it. maybe even just 1 second before it comes down and you get that knockback. Some people have a lot of hard time finding Nail and then tracking their tower, left or right from wherever or however, whatever strat you use. And then Twintania as low light 1A. It's just so mind numbing. Especially when you're progging 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the fight. I can only imagine doing the prologue of DSR over and over again.
Yeah.
How annoying that would be. That would be on the same level as doing Twintania over and over and over again. So yeah, overall, I love the fight. But yeah, those are my two lowlights for UCOB. How about you, sir?
Sure. So highlights of UCOB. I know I kind of mentioned this when I was discussing how it was my favorite, but like you said, I mean, there's not much to say more about Nail that hasn't already been said, but I think that it is a very well choreographed thing. I think that there's a lot of elegance in that phase, more so than you might think there is, in the sense that like even something as simple as everybody is going to get every mechanic in that phase at some point, and knowing that, you can sort of put yourself in a mindset where you kind of know what's going to happen, right? If you're paying attention in Nail and you see that you haven't gotten lightning yet, then you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to have lightning on this last part, and I know that I'm going to have to go in and then, to get that fire and then move immediately away with lightning, because you're going to have to deal with that, right? So there's just things that you can kind of predict in that phase, and I think that's kind of what makes the phase really fun. I think the quotes are a lot of fun. I think the quotes were more fun when they were more convoluted. I know they made them easier to understand for everybody else, but I'm somebody who had to learn them all back when they were convoluted and you had to look for certain keywords, but now it's pretty simple to understand what the quotes are. The phases, the DPS check is not very difficult, so you don't really have to worry about that too much if you don't have too many deaths. But even if you have a death, you can work around it. I just think it's a very well done phase. And yeah, that's definitely my highlight. For my low, it's got to be Twintania for everything you said. It's just super mind numbing. I think most first phases of Ultimate fights are like this. I think some are more. You can tolerate some more than others. Like I said, for Living Liquid, I just do not like that phase very much. But for Twintania, it's something that I can kind of just do without thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
So it's just like, delete 2.5 minutes from my life because I'm doing Twintania again. Whatever. It's it's not hard. It's simple. Though I will say that learning how to do random liquid hells in Twintania definitely made me better at Wrath of the Heavens and DSR. So having that experience will help you in the future in other Ultimates. So there is at least that.
I do love where Square can take mechanics from previous fight and add them with different ones and mix them up in different ways to provide some new challenges. So I do appreciate that when they do that.
Yeah. For sure. For me though, in the trios, I actually like Heaven's Fall a little bit more than 10 Strike. I think 10 Strike is a low point in that fight simply because of the physics of the orbs coming from Twintania. Yeah, they can be very inconsistent, and you can wipe in that phase without feeling like you did anything wrong at all. And I don't like that in an Ultimate. I think that's wonky. So for me, 10 Strike is just kind of iffy, and it's just the patch part of 10 Strike. I think the Earthshakers thing is interesting. So, that's it for me. There's not a whole lot of lowlights for me in UCOB, but yeah, just a few wonky things, right?
Sure.
I think that's it.
Sure. Well, that leaves us off with DSR, and I'll start with that. Highlight for that is Nidhogg. Just like Nail, the dance of his towers, properly baiting them, knowing that everyone's going to place a tower, everyone's going to soak a tower, everyone's going to bait a tower. When you put those in the mix, you got the forward and backward airs, the high dives, but the dance of it with the in and out, it really just flows. It's a well choreographed piece, kind of like Nail. I really enjoy that part, and Repeating it, I don't foresee me having an issue with it because it's just fun to do. And once you get through it, once everyone does it cleanly, it's like, yes. And then it's just, then you're worried about a DPS check at that point. So, but getting through that is a lot of fun. I do appreciate that part. Low light for me, for my limited partaking of this is probably going to be the whole of Sanctity. Just maybe a little bit too RNG elements. And I know there's different ways to tackle the two parts of Sanctity. But having, the warrior in different spots, people getting different markers and maybe having to swap depending on how you're doing it. Are you going Paladin relative? Are you going Dark Knight relative? Having the two gaze, both Thoradin and the eyeball at random points, that just sucks. And that will translate into Death of the Heavens as well. And then you take that into the second part of Sanctity where the towers can be, lopsided and you have curse patterns, different groups getting the different meteors. Are you in? Are you out? Maybe just a little bit too much RNG. I do like it when you finally get through it. That's enjoyable, but again, maybe just a little too much RNG for me on that. What about you, sir?
All right. Highlights, like you said with Nidhogg. I won't go too much more on that. You've said pretty much everything. So I'll pick something from a little bit further in the fight than you've been, so like we can discuss it a little bit. Let's see.
Sure.
I think for me, probably the final. I think Wrath of the Heavens is a lot of fun. I think it's a nice, cute little dance. There's a lot of throwbacks to Ukab there. There's twisters you got to do. There's dive bombs you got to plant. There's there's the lightning
trio
thing from Nail.
Right?
Yeah, it's like a mishmash of a lot of Ukab stuff on top of a lot of Thornton stuff, because that part in the fight he's like revived a bunch of dragons from the dead, and they're like, he's got them under his command, and he's got his knights coming down helping him. So it's this mishmash of a bunch of stuff happening, and I think that's it's a lot of fun, and it's recoverable, and it's easy to prog, and I think for that it's a lot of fun. Death's not so much, but I'll get there later. And the final phase is great too. I remember that I gave a speech to my group right before we clear. It was our clear phase, or it was our clear run, and it was the last run of the night, and we had been memeing a little bit on our last runs. Like we wiped a couple times in Nidhogg, we wiped a couple times in Sanctity, and we were just like, okay, we don't want to go to bed with this. We want to get one more good pull in. So we got all the way to phase 7, and I just said something like, guys, this phase is no harder than an extreme primal. There's nothing in this phase that is anything harder than an extreme primal. It's all about mitigation and damage. That's it. So all we have to focus on is making sure our mitigation's on point and making sure that we do our damage. And lo and behold, we cleared that pull. So I'm telling you that phase is not very hard at all. But it's a lot like Golden Bahamut in the sense that you have to make sure your mitigation is on point. Everybody has to hit the buttons they're supposed to hit. If you don't, you will die, because the mitigation is very, very tight on everything, be it the Akmorns, be it the Giga Flares. Everything has to be done correctly. But the movement is not hard. It's very easy. As long as you don't panic, and as long as you just make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do, that phase is nothing to worry about. And for that, I like it, because it is a victory lap in like the purest sense. Because as long as you focus on what you're supposed to do, it's no problem. The DPS check is tight, but it's not tight if you're not panicking. So just don't panic. You got this. If you're getting to phase 7, you got this. It's not something to worry about. And for that, I really do like the final phase. So it's definitely a highlight for me. A low light, I will say, is probably Eyes phase and intermission, simply because it's not hard at all. Once you start doing those two phases properly, you will never ever wipe on them. You will wipe maybe once a week. If you're raiding like 3 or 4 days a week, you'll wipe maybe once a week on Eyes, maybe once on intermission, like every month. I'm not even kidding. Like once you get it down, you got it.
So it's like Twin Tanya, but in the middle of the fight. It's kind of a breather.
Exactly. So it is an intermission, right? You're supposed to be relaxing, but at the same time, you just want to get back to phase 6 or phase 7. Like you at that point, you're just like, okay, like let's save horse font. Yay. All right. He's good. Woo. You know, like, you know, so in that sense, that's a low light. And I will say that there's some parts in phase 6 double dragons that are a low light for me as well. I know some people I raid with really do like that phase. I will say that there are some parts of that phase that are just not fair. There are some dedicated downtime phases in that fight or in that phase. Like in Wrath Flames, if Hraesvelgr is dive bombing on the side that Nidhogg is, you're getting downtime no matter what. If in the first Hallowed Plume the DPS have to go far and away from Hraesvelgr, that's mandatory downtime. And I don't like that that's part of the fight because it can really screw up the enrage timing, and it can really screw up keeping the boss's HP even. That's one of the big parts of that phase is having to keep the boss's HP even at 2 certain parts. And I just don't like fights that have to dictate downtime like that. There's really no way you can work around it. There's no alternate strats that you can work around it to make it so that there's no downtime. There absolutely is if he does certain things, and there's no other ultimate that I can really think of that dictates downtime like that. And so in that sense, phase 6 is a little weird. I still like the phase, I do, but there's just a few things that I would maybe change about it. But gotcha. That's me. Yeah, that's me. Overall, DSR, great fight.
All right. At this point, we want to kick it to you folks. Tell us what you think about all the ultimates. Have you done them? Do you even care? Have you done them and beat them? Tell us what you think down below in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And thank you for your time. All right. With that main story out of the way and complete, let's adventure on to main story quest number 2. Piers, what's main story quest number 2?
Main story quest number 2. All right. So it has indeed begun. Square Enix put out an NFT attached to the new cloud figurine. What is your guys' stance on NFTs? Also, while they have said NFTs won't come to any Final Fantasy games, what would you think if they changed course?
Dun, dun,
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know a whole lot about NFTs. I'm kind of a newbie when it comes to this kind of stuff. I understand the general gist of them, and I understand the general gist of I don't like them. That's all I know. I don't know a whole lot, but I don't like them. I know that it's kind of a thing where like you own like the right of a certain image or a certain something in general, and you can claim it's yours, but it's not yours. It's still owned by the company, and like you just have like you own the like place in the line that it is or something. It's like I don't know. I've watched some videos on it and it's still kind of over my head, but I think it's silly. I know lately I think NFTs have been kind of crashing a little bit from what I understand.
Yeah,
so I
the
don't
whole
think
digital coin and
I hopefully I don't think that they're going to be around for good. I think that this is just a fad, and I think companies are hopping on it to make a quick buck right now, but I don't think they're going to stick around for very long. So in that sense, I'm not super worried about it. I think it's super silly, and I think that Square Enix doing this with this cloud figurine are going to get memed on for it, and they deserve to be memed on for it. So there's that. And if they added any to Final Fantasy, then I just won't engage with them, and I will just show my displeasure. That's all I can do. I can vote with my wallet, and that's it.
Vote with your wallet, and we can rage about it here, right?
Exactly. Yes. But how do you feel? I know you have to feel similar.
This whole thing is just hot garbage. As one skill up would say, NFTs is actually short for no fucking thanks.
Yeah.
Basically what it's supposed to be is just a digital, like your own piece of property, but it's a digital good that you're supposed to own. Mm-hmm. But like you said, there's always these, legal lines down below where it's not actually yours. It's still the company. So let's take the case of this NFT that's attached to this cloud figurine. Not only are you paying $30 more to get this NFT, you can't trade it. You can't sell it. Its copyright still is Square, so you could do very little with it. You can look at it on your computer, and it costs you $30 to have. Congratulations. You could take that $30 and basically just throw it in the trash, and that's about the same thing as what you're doing here. It's absolutely stupid. To the well, the main issue I have with it is there's no marketplace. So there's no place where you can trade your digital goods. Have you ever seen Ready Player One?
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
So think of Ready Player One, like that whole thing there. That's, the online digital world, and NFTs are abound in it. In that sense, NFTs make sense because you have this whole basically side universe, parallel universe, where you have digital goods that are yours and part of your character and your storage and whatnot. There's nothing like that. They're trying to put the cart before the horse. So it's absolutely stupid. The second part is they're trying to make these things sound rare, trying to get people to bite on these things where, for all intents and purposes, dude, you could just make more. It's just, copy paste. Like I could take a screenshot of someone's NFT and be like, yeah, I got it on my computer too. I just took a screenshot of yours, dude, and you paid $30 for it. Thank you. Appreciate it. So it's absolutely just mind numbing. I don't understand it. If they come into the Final Fantasy games, I've gone back and forth on this. Like, do I just stop supporting that game entirely because I think they're making just a horrible decision? I don't know. It all depends on how sequestered those NFTs are. Like, if they don't affect my gameplay at all, okay, that's their own thing. Kind of like the cash shop. You don't have to interact with cash shop. It's all glamorous cosmetics. You could kind of say the cash shop is kind of an NFT in its own right. You're buying just this digital good for your character on the server. It's a tough thing. Until they get a global marketplace or some sort of ecosystem, a la Ready Player One and the Oasis, this is never going to take off. So I think they got to get infrastructure down first before they start putting products out. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. If they start doing NFTs where you can buy this NFT and put it into Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy XIV, and you get tremendous power boosts, I'm going to have a real problem.
No,
I'm going to have a real problem with that. Yeah. So yeah, that's my thoughts on NFTs. Any other thoughts for yourself since I kind of expounded upon it?
Nah, like I said, you probably know more about it than I do, so I'll defer to you. But there is something kind of icky about the whole thing, and it just doesn't feel right. It does feel like a company trying to make a quick buck on something that's a fad right now, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So
Square is investing millions into this. So
yeah,
I don't think you invest millions in a fad.
That's fair.
Unless you're desperate, you're seeing your own bottom lines that haven't come out to the public, and you're like, we need to bolster and give our stockholders reason to be encouraged. Maybe they'll like NFTs. I don't know. Chat though saying NFT equals poop, and fiat currency is garbage. Nothing tangible holding value. Yeah, that's the other part about this whole cryptocurrency is that none of the world's economy is actually backing this. So when people invest in it and it takes it in the garbage because there's actually nothing there, nothing there.
Yeah,
it's just
tangible, right?
It's imaginary. They get all upset and they lose millions of their real money for this monopoly money.
Yep.
Monopoly money has more value than freaking cryptocurrency.
Yes.
At least I could buy Boardwalk with it, okay?
Yep.
I could put my little character right there. I could touch it. Anyways, we're going to throw it out to you folks. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think NFTs in Final Fantasy games is coming soon? Do you not care? Are you actually part of the NFT cryptocurrency craze? If you are, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. And with that out of the way, let's move on to our third and final main story quest. And main story quest number 3 is time to get some old school rewards. The Moogle Tombstone event is back, Are there any items you are looking to get? And more importantly, are you excited about the tentative release date of 6.2 that this event marks? And yes, usually when the Moogle Tombstone event launches, that is usually a good indicator that we have 4 weeks until the patch, which would put us at August 23rd, I believe. So I am excited. It's not firm. They have pushed things back in the past, most notably with Endwalker. When that came out, we were like, oh, the Endwalker's coming soon. And then that got pushed back. So that means Moogle Tombstone event got extended as well. But I'm super excited to get into it. I like when there's things that I don't have. And like, okay, like the Elven minion. I'm super excited that I don't have to go farm that fate in Eureka for that Elven minion. And I also like that I'm going to get a gorilla mount. That's going to be awesome. And it's a good catch-up mechanic for people that, don't necessarily want to do extreme primals for bird or dog or horse farming. They can use these times to farm other pieces of content that might be, left in collecting dust and get some cool rewards out of it. What do you think about it, Piers?
Yeah, and I always like when Moogle Tombstone rolls around because it gives me something to do. It gives me some extra content to go out and usually dust off the old Blue Mage for. So that's always a good time. But
Blue Mage runs. Let's go.
Exactly. The rewards this time around are actually kind of interesting. The earrings, I can generally give or take the 100 earring or whatever accessory they're offering.
They always
for
put an accessory at the top there.
Yeah. Like, it's fine. I'll get it just so I have it, right? But I don't know if I don't have a whole glamour I'm going to put around it or anything, but it's cool. I think that the gorilla is a great one. I know you probably get that from Skybuilder scripts or something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It'll be nice to be able to get that without having to go interact with that whole thing, because I'm not even sure how any of that works, to be honest. Like, I'm a complete noob when it comes to any of that Skybuilder stuff. So,
let me just say one thing. If you're looking to get the pterodactyl mount from the whole diadem thing, you're going to have so many Skybuilder scripts. My boy Kronos is almost done with his pterodactyl, and he had so many that he's like, I'm just going to buy you a mount. Like, I have nothing to do with it. So he got me the sheep mount, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about... I don't know how to get the pterodactyl mount, but I know it is a slog and a half from what I've heard. So God bless your friend, because I don't know if I'll ever put myself through that. It'll be nice to be able to get that. I bought the gorilla from the market board like a long time ago, so it's fine. But for everybody who hasn't, that's a great way to get it. The minion, the Elvon minion, is completely a different story altogether. That minion does not exist in Eureka. It just doesn't. I have done that fate many, many times, and I have never, ever seen anybody ever get it. Like, no one has ever shouted it in chat. Usually if somebody gets something cool, they'll be like, oh, what's this? Is this rare? Knowing full well it's rare. But I've never seen anybody get it. It's the wildest thing. So the fact that they're actually putting it into the Moogle Tombstone is crazy. This is probably the priciest thing they've ever put on Moogle Tombstones, is this wind-up Elven. So if I were you,
everyone should go get it.
A crap load of them.
Oh,
yes. I would get one for yourself, buy a crap load of them, and then wait for them to go back up in price, because they will.
They're going to tank, though, first.
Oh, yeah, they will tank
first. People are going to buy them, and they're going to throw them on there. But, yeah, if you hold on to it, hold on to a couple of them, and then wait.
Long-term investment.
Wait like 6 months, you could maybe get, a pretty penny. And just from doing Aurum Vale or whatever. Yeah.
It's impossible to get it otherwise. It'd be like if they put the copycat bulb, which is another crazy Eureka minion, into the Moogle Tombstone event. It's the same concept. So, and it's sad because I actually made a lot of money doing Eureka, and it seems that they've taken a lot of those rare rewards and put them other places.
Sure.
A lot of the mounts, the big fire woolly dude you can get from Pyros, and then the manta ray kind of thing you can get from the petrol you can get from Hydaelyn. They put those in those randomized loot boxes you can buy with the Grand Company seals. So those have gone down in price quite a bit.
Okay.
So yeah, they've made a lot of the rare Eureka mounts easier to get, which is fine because I know a lot of people don't want to interact with that content. It's a lot to interact with that content. I think it's a lot of fun. I think Eureka's great. And I made a lot of money doing Eureka, but they made a lot of those things easier to get. And with this Elven, it just seems like they keep going down that course. But
And they also put
which
some
is
Eureka
fine.
stuff into like the Bozja lock boxes too. A
I
couple
think they
things here and
did.
there.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're
Okay.
right. So, so yeah, in that sense, it's kind of disappointing. But if you're somebody who doesn't want to do that beetle fate in Pyros like a million times to get this Elven minion, I think it's 100% worth it to go get yourself one and maybe at least grab a couple extra just in case the price does go back up after this Tombstone event. And who knows, the next time you'll be able to get it from a Tombstone event. They do like to recycle some rewards, but not all the time.
Yeah.
So
I'm still
it might be
waiting.
worth the hold on.
I'm still waiting for the Construct 8 minion to come back because I was a dunderhead. I thought, oh, I'll get it. And then I completely forgot about the Moogle Tombstone event. That was like a year ago. And I should have picked it up because I still am trying to get rid of Ronald Lighthouse to get my damn minion from there. It's the last 24-man minion I need.
Yeah.
I have every other one except for that Construct 8 minion. It's like,
You should just go do it a few times, dude. Most people already have all that stuff. Like, I've noticed that, like, even some of the like newer raids, like the near ones, like there's only like a couple people rolling on the minion at the end because they don't let you roll on it if you already have it, right? So,
yeah,
like,
it's untradeable. Yeah.
yeah.
That's where
So
is Construct 8 tradable?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. So if you should just give yourself a shot, do it a couple times, see if you get it. But I know I didn't have the Weeping City of Mach minion for the longest time, and I think I finally got it. So I feel you there. But God, as for the release date, it's good. I mean, I expected it to be the end of August. I expected it to be like what you said, the 23rd.
Yeah.
And that would put Savage on the 30th.
Yep.
I'm perfectly okay with that. If they push it back a week or two, that's even better because it's more time for me to get re-clears and DSR. But overall, yeah, that release date is good. I have no qualms with that. If I was still progging DSR and then we were going down to the time limit, I'd feel a little bit worse about it. But you know, I'm on cloud 9 right now, man, feeling good about it. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with the release date. Have you had any, have you felt the increase of development time that they've, told us about, the extra week in summer or, the 3.5 months to 4 months? Have you felt that, acutely at all, or has content come out in a way that, it's fine because you've always had something to do and you're used to maybe the lulls near the end of a patch?
It's hard to say right now because the 2 patches that we've gotten so far since they've transitioned over to this 4-month thing has been 6.0 to 6.1. And in that during that time you're doing MSQ and you're also like leveling up all the jobs and you're experimenting with all the new job abilities and you're going through the new zones and still questing those out. So I feel like you don't feel it as much there. And again, from 6.1 to 6.2, there was an ultimate. So I've been focusing on that, and it hasn't felt like there's been this long slog. But I can understand for people who may not do Ultimate that the content lull is feeling a little bit worse because they added those 2 extra weeks to their development cycle. So maybe when there's a patch that doesn't have, like maybe 6.2, after we clear Savage, maybe that'll start to lull for me because I've, leveled up all my jobs, and I guess we'll be probably doing an ultimate. We'll probably be doing Uwu between those times.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned,
but maybe that'll feel like a slog, or maybe if they don't add an ultimate to 6.3, that patch could feel like a slog if there's really not much to do there. So, but as of now, I've not been feeling it very acutely. Have you felt that slog though? I mean, I know a lot of people have been kind of feeling the burnout.
I have not felt that slog, and let's just say 5.5 was such a big chunk of downtime to get to Endwalker, because of the whole COVID thing, because of the increased development time. I also we felt it more acutely because they canceled the Ultimate Raid, or they pushed it back. They canceled it and just repurposed it for Endwalker. So there was, what, 6+ months of just nothing. I'm fully expecting them to push back the next Ultimate from 6.3 to 6.5. So I think 6.3, we're going to feel that downtime because you're going to get through, Aglia Part 2. You're going to get through the MSQ, whatever other hijinks is in 6.3. And you're going to be like, okay, well, what do I do now for 3 months? Well, maybe I unsub,
Yeah. I mean, they can put the anima weapon or the relic weapon there and hopefully give that.
Yeah, there will be relic. Yes. The relic weapon will be there. I still personally need to get DSR done, so maybe that's if they do push it back. DSR, I can do Epic of Alexander, so maybe I personally won't feel it. But those that aren't chasing ultimates, they might, be like, all right, I'm gonna peace out for a couple months, and that's totally okay. There's plenty of games out there. Crisis Core, Final Fantasy 16, maybe, coming around then. So, take your time, and just have fun with the game. And if you're not, unsub. It's okay. Even Yoshi P understands.
Yeah, I mean, you're not. This is not a game that's a ball in your ankle, dude. Like, you can play it as much or as little as you want. Like, seriously. So, and Ultimate is definitely not for everybody, so do not feel pressured to stay logged into the game if there's really not much to do. But the slog patches are the perfect time to progress in Ultimate, though. So if you were ever thinking about it, then those patches where there's not much to do, it's not a savage patch. The perfect time to get an Ultimate done. So
and if you get your savage done and there's no Ultimate in the next patch, even better. You got plenty of time. Maybe you can knock out 2 of them.
Exactly, dude. I'm telling you, definitely doable.
All right, that is going to wrap up that main story quest. We want to hear from you folks. Are you looking forward to anything in the Moogle Tombstone event? Are you excited about the tentative release date of August 23rd? It's tentative. They didn't officially said anything about it. Or do you not care? And the content comes when content comes. Drop a comment down below. We'd love to hear what you think. And with that is going to end our show. We want to thank you all for joining us. Appreciate your time and giving us your views. Hopefully we'll have some good juicy stuff for next week. But until next time, Piers, where can people find you?
People can find me right there below my scruffy face. They can find me on Twitch at Raideo_Piers. I have not been streaming. I know every time we go through this, I give you guys the same spiel. It's like a broken record.
That's what this podcast is for, to press you to stream.
Exactly. Yes. But since I have finished DSR, I have a lot more time on my hands. So I don't have any excuse now. Raiding 6 days a week, at least I could say, man, I'm just not feeling streaming. I've been playing all day. But now I don't have much of an excuse, as long as we can re-clear within a relatively decent amount of time and we're not taking the whole week to do it. Anyway, that's a whole spiel. But yes, streaming on Raideo_Piers on Twitch. Come check me out. I got a bunch of games on my backlog to play. I definitely will get through them. It will be a good time if you come by and check it out with me. And if you are on Final Fantasy, there is cross world and cross data center now. So come visit me on the Leviathan server on Primal. Piers Harvey is my name, just like Piers right there, and then Harvey like Cecil Harvey. Harvey. Yes, Cecil. It's Cecil, bro, not Cecil. What? Well, we're going to pretend like I didn't hear that. Anyway, come check me out there. We can do Let's. We can do 24-man. We can do whatever you want. I can talk to you about Ultimates. I can talk to you about Savage. Anything you want to talk about, come check me out. I am on all the time. So, would love to hear from you guys. But where can people find you, Tarkoth?
Well, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. Again, we just got affiliated on Twitch, so we have emotes and channel badges. We got channel points, so you can make Tark do push-ups and sit-ups, and maybe, if you want, you can have Tark's friend Dave come out and play and hang out with you and be his old grumpy self. Also on Ready Check Radio, Saturday and Sunday nights, where I'm currently playing Sekiro and kicking ass, in my opinion. What do you think, Piers? Am I kicking ass in Sekiro?
Dude, you two-shot the headless ape. That's crazy, honestly. And I'm not even trying to hype you up. That's pretty good. That you took less shots at it than I did, so I'll give you that.
And then we 3-shot the dual apes, right?
Yes, the rematch. So
yeah,
you've got a couple bosses coming up that might give you a little bit of a time, but man, I don't even know what to say anymore since you had such an easy time with Headless Ape. You might even one-shot those dudes. I don't even know, but I'm definitely excited to watch you go back to Sekiro. What, tomorrow night?
Saturday, Sunday night. That's 9 o'clock Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern. So it's pretty late night. So if you can check that out, that's cool. I'm also part of the Relic Grind, Final Fantasy 14 Square Enix podcast over on Ready Check Radio. That airs Thursdays, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. So check out all that stuff, Ready Check Radio. And yeah, I'll be there. But yeah, cool. Until next time, y'all take care of yourselves. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. End of line. Say bye, Piers.
Goodbye.